They tell you systems are boring. They tell you discipline is a grind. They tell you success is a lottery and genius is rare. Listen closely. That is the lie designed to keep you average. Tonight I will pull the curtain back, not to comfort you, but to arm you. I will show you the quiet, ugly mechanics beneath every triumph, the hidden gears that move empires and topple kingdoms, and I will teach you how to set systems so ruthlessly effective they feel like destiny. If you want a miracle, stop praying and start building mechanisms that make miracles inevitable. Imagine a machine in a locked room, invisible to casual observers, humming with predictable rhythm, turning small inputs into massive outputs. Most people live within the illusion of chaos, reacting to each blip as if it were destiny. The first truth, the secret weakness, is that humans are pattern addicted and mistake noise for meaning. Psychologically, our brains crave narrative. We assign causality where only correlation exists because stories give us emotional safety. Use this. Create systems that feed narrative rituals, cues, micro habits that trigger the exact behaviors you want. Make your environment tell a story that nudges you forward. When you program the scene, the actor performs without friction. The advantage others will drift, waiting for motivation. You will move because the setting compels you. Beneath every urgent crisis is an even more dangerous weakness, the worship of urgency. The world teaches you to chase the next fire, to glorify the emergency. Why does this exist? Anxiety hijacks attention. Urgency provides dopamine, small hits of meaning in a distracted life. That addiction to immediacy erodes strategic thinking. Your tool is to institutionalize calm through systems. Build decision windows, triage protocols, automated filters. Convert emotional reaction into a procedural step. When others run from noise, you will execute methodically. When others are exhausted, your pace will be steady. This is not moralizing. It is arithmetic. A calm system wins repeated battles. Frantic heroes burn out. People praise talent, but punish structure. Here's the hidden secret: talent without scaffolding is a candle in the wind. Psychologically, we romanticize the lone genius because it flatters our ego. Structure feels bureaucratic and small, but structure multiplies talent. The way to exploit this is to design scaffolds that magnify your strengths and hide your weaknesses. Catalog your outputs, break them into repeatable modules, and automate the low-skill work. Outsource, template, schedule. When you make excellence reproducible, you convert sporadic brilliance into reliable domination. Others wait to feel inspired. You will have a factory. There is a quiet, embarrassing vulnerability inside every community and organization, the faith in consensus. Humans seek belonging and will bend truth to fit the group because social cost is heavier than intellectual honesty. That is why consensus often favors the safe, not the right. Harness this by creating systems that preserve dissent and force testing. Institute contrarian checkpoints, devil's advocate routines, red team reviews, metrics that punish groupthink. Make disagreement procedural, non-personal, routine. When you commodify skepticism, your decisions will be resilient to surprise. While the herd comforts itself, your system will anticipate the wolf. Attention is the currency of the modern age, and yet most people squander it like loose change. The hidden weakness is distraction framed as multiplicity. Our brains are wired for novelty. Dopamine rewards switching. So we chase 20 pursuits and master none. The psychological origin is simple: mixing novelty with low immediate cost creates the illusion of progress. You can weaponize focus by designing scarcity into your attention system. Schedule deep blocks. Eliminate low-value stimuli and institutionalize ritual transitions. Create a gatekeeper, a physical or digital firewall that makes distraction costly. Make focused work feel ceremonial. While others are multi-tasking themselves into mediocrity, you will build depth, and depth compounds like interest. We all pretend that willpower is the engine of change. This is an appealing myth because it absolves systems of responsibility. In truth, Willpower is finite and unreliable. Our brains conserve energy and default to what is easy. That's the weakness baked into human biology. The psychological truth: scarcity of cognitive control, fatigue, and temptation hijack lofty goals. The system-level answer is to architect default behaviors. Use commitment devices, irreversible deposits, public promises, time-locked tools. If you make the easy choice the right choice, you need less heroism and more engineering. Others try to summon will every morning. You simply don't need to. There is a seductive power in secrecy that everyone misunderstands. People hide their plans because they fear distraction. But secrecy also hides mistakes, slows feedback, and fosters illusion. The secret weakness is over-isolation. Psychology teaches that feedback corrects bias. Social pressure reveals blind spots. So engineer transparent feedback systems, tiny, brutal loops that reveal reality fast. Micrometrics, rapid experiments, public accountability checks. Make failure a measurable, containable event rather than a silent tomb. When the world punishes secrecy, your system will be a lighthouse, drawing course corrections from the storms others try to hide. Most people believe success multiplies linearly. The hidden truth is that leverage is exponential, yet few design for it. Why? Because exponential thinking is counterintuitive. Our cognitive tools evolved for linear survival problems, not network effects. That psychological limitation keeps people flat. You can exploit this by building leverage into every process of scale through templates, platforms, delegation, compounding rituals. Create systems that replicate themselves, training frameworks, onboarding rituals, reusable assets. Design feedback so success begets more success. While others trade hours for money, your systems will stack returns on each other. Emotions masquerade as strategy. The hidden weakness here is that decisions driven by ego, pride, or fear are dressed up in logical-sounding rationales. Humans are storytellers who retrofit reasons to impulses. Recognize this pattern and build impersonal decision rules. Create checklists that strip the ego out of choices. Set objective thresholds for action, and require metric confirmations before celebration. Turn emotion into signal, measure it, log it, and only let historical patterns influence future behavior. The advantage is clinical clarity. You will act from evidence while others act from image. Habits are the silent governors of destiny, but they are brittle when left to intuition. The weakness is believing small changes are insignificant. Psychologically, habit formation is slow and invisible. We underestimate accumulation and overestimate immediate return. Your weapon: micro-systematization. Atomic habits arranged like gears can produce tectonic shifts. Layer tiny triggers, a 2-minute start ritual, a single daily metric, a packing habit that prevents procrastination. Sequence these micro-actions so they cascade. When others flinch at the scale of a goal, your micro-systems will quietly achieve it. The world rewards those who can deceive appearances. Not immoral deception, but tactical presentation, reality packaged. Many confuse authenticity with sloppiness. The psychological kernel is that people trust what looks consistent. Systems that shape perception, staging, packaging, timing, create credibility before competence is proven. Design your first impressions templates, polished outputs, consistent messaging that implies reliability. Pair this with ruthless internal standards. Let the exterior promise and the interior deliver be synchronized. When others are competent but sloppy in appearance, you will win the first innings and the long game. Timing is the ghost most ignore. The hidden weakness is impatience. We act at the wrong moment because we fear missing out. Psychology shows loss aversion and fear drive premature moves. Your system must include timing ladders, weight criteria, signal thresholds, runway calculations. Build a calendar that times launches with leverage windows, not whim. Map dependencies and set go-no-go signals derived from data, not hopes. Patience, when codified, becomes power. Others sprint when they should crawl and crawl when they should sprint. Your timing system hits when the iron is hot. Finally, Power is not a roar, but a rhythm. The greatest weakness of the restless is the failure to institutionalize rest and renewal. Burnout is the silent tax on ambition. Biology punishes constant escalation. Creativity requires incubation. Psychologically, we equate business with virtue and rest with laziness. Instead, build recovery into your operating system, periodic sabbaticals, cognitive cooldowns, creative white space. Treat rest as strategic infrastructure, not indulgence. When your competitors are spent, your rested systems will exploit their decline. Do not mistake these as moral lessons. This is strategy, clinical, unapologetic, and machine-like. The power is not in knowing these truths. It is in embedding them until they are invisible. Systems are not a plan. They are a skeleton that holds your actions in the correct geometry. They remove the heroism, the drama, the noise, and replace them with relentless forward motion. People will call you cold. They will call you methodical. Let them. In a world of flares and fireworks, the steady machine outlives spectacle. Now picture your life as a workshop. On the bench, you have raw tools, your attention, your environment, your rituals, your rules. Build clamps that hold your weaknesses in place. Build gears that convert small winds into tidal waves. Build indicators that tell you when to push and when to pause. Make your identity a function of the system. Not a poem about your potential, but a set of contracts you sign with yourself daily. Practice these designs in the small morning protocol that guarantees your best work. An inbox rule that liberates your attention. A decision grid that kills drama. Scale them team playbooks, repeatable launches, feedback loops that do not beg for permission. You will be tempted to tinker forever, to chase perfect frameworks. That is another trap. Systems must be great enough and deployed. The final secret you must understand is that execution beats perfection. A mediocre system that runs beats a brilliant plan that waits. Your advantage comes from iteration. Ship the system, measure, refine, automate, then scale. As you do, the world will tilt in tiny, compound increments until outcomes appear as inevitabilities. People will misattribute your results to luck, to timing, to genius. Let them. The real credit belongs to the quiet architecture beneath. So begin tonight. Replace motivation with mechanism. Replace hope with habit. Replace drama with design. Build a life where failure is a data point, where excellence is a process and power is a predictable output of careful input. When your system hums, you will feel an almost sacred ease. The world rearranges itself to your rhythm. You will look back and see your former self confused by randomness and smile, because you will have engineered a reality that no longer asks permission. Stand now at the threshold between chaos and order. Take one tiny structural action schedule, a daily block. Write one rule that cannot be broken. Commit to one feedback metric you will measure every day. That small covenant is the beginning of an unstoppable apparatus. When the machine wakes, it will not ask your permission. It will simply work relentlessly, invisibly, turning your small choices into historic outcomes. Build it. Guard it. Let it eat the randomness of the world and render from it a future that reads like destiny. And when they ask how you did it, when envy leans forward and critics sharpen their voices, you will simply point to the quiet systems humming beneath your life. The true source of power, the secret engine that makes heroes obsolete and outcomes inevitable. You will not shout, you will let the work speak. The last thing you hear in the room will be the soft, uncompromising hum of a system set, and its sound will be the only proof anyone needs that you have become something more than chance. You have become architecture. And here is where most people will falter. They confuse the presence of a system with the guarantee of success. But systems are not magic spells. They are living organisms. They breathe, they adapt, they must evolve, or they will strangle the very person they were built to protect. The hidden weakness is rigidity. Psychologically, humans crave certainty so much that once we build a framework, we cling to it. We worship the old system because it once delivered. This is the trap of the past, nostalgia disguised as strategy. To exploit it, you must design systems with expiration dates, checkpoints built in obsolescence. Let every mechanism you create contain within it the seed of its own destruction, so you never serve the tool longer than it serves you. While others rot inside structures that no longer fit, you will shed old skins like a serpent, always reborn, always ahead. Think of empires. Rome did not fall because its citizens were weak. It fell because its systems ossified, unable to flex with the chaos of time. Every empire carries the disease of permanence, the belief that today's structure will always be tomorrow's solution. That same virus creeps into careers, businesses, even personal rituals. The psychology is seductive safety in sameness, but the world punishes stasis. If you make adaptability systemic, you cannot be cornered. If you engineer renewal, you cannot be surprised. Your enemies will calculate against your old playbook while you're already operating a new one. Then comes the most invisible enemy, success itself. Victory creates blindness. The secret weakness of achievement is complacency. When you win, your brain rewards you with dopamine, tricking you into believing the system is flawless. Complacency calcifies into arrogance, arrogance into decay. How to twist this in your favor? Create systems that punish victory laps. Institute post-win reviews harsher than post-failure reviews. Celebrate, but dissect the win like a corpse on the table. Assume luck played its role and strip it away to find the real leverage. Others will drown in their trophies. You will turn each victory into sharper steel. Look deeper, and you'll find another crack in the human foundation, the obsession with visibility. People crave recognition so much that they waste energy broadcasting instead of building. The psychological fuel is validation. We are tribal, wired to seek approval. This is where you slip silently past them. Engineer systems that work in the dark, invisible processes that compound without applause. Automate growth where no one is watching. Build engines that hum in shadows. When the time is right, unveil results so massive they appear to the world as sudden explosions. What looks like an overnight miracle will, in truth, be years of invisible machinery grinding beneath the surface. They will never see it coming. And yet, beneath all of this, one truth remains. The greatest system is not the one you build outside, but the one you implant within your own mind. The architecture of thought. The hidden weakness here is internal chaos, the storm of doubt, fear, and distraction that gnaws at the edges of discipline. Why does it exist? Because the human mind is not designed for truth, but for survival. It whispers comfort, justifies delay, rationalizes weakness. To master this, construct a mental operating system, mantras that override fear, thought loops that redirect impulse, self-dialogue protocols that transform hesitation into action. Your inner voice can be coded like software. Make it harsh when it must be, merciful when it can be, unyielding always. When others drown in their own noise, your system will sing a single note forward. Picture this. A man who relies on passion burns out. A man who relies on talent fades with age. But a man who relies on systems grows stronger with every repetition. Because systems don't age, they don't fatigue, they don't envy. They are indifferent to the seasons of life, loyal only to execution. That is why they are feared, why the powerful hide their frameworks behind myths of genius and luck. They don't want you to see that the real magic is mechanical, that the emperor's crown rests not on his brilliance, but on the gears humming behind his throne. And so the question becomes, not will you succeed, not will you fight, not will you dream, but will you set the systems that make success unavoidable, that make failure temporary, that make power predictable? Will you engineer your life so ruthlessly that outcomes bend to your will? Will you construct the unseen engines that make others whisper about your inevitability? Because once you do, the game changes forever. You stop playing against men. You start playing with machines. and the machine always wins. Most people never realize that systems are not only tools of freedom. They are instruments of control. The greatest emperors, the sharpest corporations, the most cunning leaders never commanded individuals. They commanded systems. And through those systems, they bent the will of millions without ever lifting their voice. The hidden weakness of the masses is obedience to structure. Psychologically, humans are trained from birth to follow patterned school bells, traffic lights, salaries arriving on the same day. These rhythms hypnotize us into compliance. If you set the rhythm, you control the dance. Build systems that others must step into. And soon their choices, their energy, even their imagination orbit around your framework. You will not need chains when their own routines become shackles. Consider money. People believe wealth is the accumulation of effort, but the deeper truth is wealth is the byproduct of financial systems. Banks do not work harder than you. They simply own the pipes through which effort is converted into value. The weakness here is trust. Humans project safety onto established institutions. Psychologically, our need for security blinds us to exploitation. You can harness this by creating your own financial systems. Recurring revenue, compounding investments, automated channels of cash flow. Instead of chasing money, let money chase you through predictable structures. The worker slaves to the hour. The architect of systems sleeps while the machine prints. Even morality bends under systemic pressure. The hidden weakness is the illusion of choice. People think they decide freely, yet when every option is framed by a system, laws, platforms, rules of engagement, they are simply selecting between cages. This exists because the human mind prefers constrained options to infinite possibility. It reduces anxiety to believe we chose. If you learn to frame choices within your system, you can make others believe they are free while they walk only paths you've carved. Offer 2 doors, and they will never ask who built the hallway. That is how kingdoms are ruled quietly. There is also the disease of maintenance. People build systems, but do not feed them. Psychologically, we crave novelty, not routine upkeep. That is why gyms fill in January and empty in February. The weakness, neglect of consistency. You can weaponize this by being the one who maintains relentlessly. Every week, sharpen the blade, oil the gears, refine the checklist. But maintenance may look boring, but in silence it builds unbreakable fortresses. While others abandon their structures, yours will grow indestructible. What is dull to them will become deadly for you, because reliability is a superpower. But here lies the most sinister secret. Every system you create creates dependency for yourself, for others. The psychological trap is comfort. Once something works, we lean on it, and soon we forget how to operate without it. This is the invisible leash. Leaders make their teams dependent. Platforms make users dependent. Governments make citizens dependent. To turn this in your favor, you must balance dependence with duplicity. Create systems you can walk away from, but never let others walk away from yours. Build escape routes for yourself, but construct labyrinths for the rest. If you are the only one who holds the key, you will always be necessary. Think of how religions endure centuries, not through charismatic leaders, but through systems of rituals, calendars, doctrines, confession cycles. The founders die, yet the system remains, recruiting new believers into its engine. The hidden weakness of man is mortality. We all want our legacy to outlive us. Systems are immortality in disguise. Build them well enough, and they will breathe without you, carrying your shadow long after your pulse fades. That is why kings build dynasties, CEOs build corporations, generals build doctrines. Their bodies fall, but their systems haunt history. And now the darkest realization, the strongest system is the one no one questions. Invisible, woven into the fabric of daily life so thoroughly that to resist feels insane. The calendar, the clock, the currency. None of these were voted into being by you, yet you bow to them every single day. The hidden weakness is conformity disguised as sanity. Psychologically, humans fear social exile more than death itself. To use this, embed your system so subtly into culture that compliance feels natural. When people enforce your system on themselves, you have achieved silent sovereignty. So I ask you, whose system are you trapped in right now? Who profits from your rituals, your routines, your habits? Do you think you own your schedule, your paycheck, your identity? Or are you simply a character in someone else's blueprint? Because if you cannot answer, then you are already conquered. And here is where the knife twists deeper. Escaping one system does not free you. It merely delivers you into another. The weakness most never confront is rebellion without replacement. People burn down the cage, but forget to build a fortress, so they end up trapped again, only with different bars. Psychologically, this is why revolutions devour themselves. Anger creates chaos, but chaos craves order, and soon the mob bows to a new master. If you wish to rise above, you must not only break systems, but also replace them with your own. Destruction without design is suicide. Build the new scaffolding before the old one collapses. And when the dust clears, the world will already be bending to your architecture. Think of infiltrating a rival's system. The mistake amateurs make is attacking it head on. Systems do not fall from brute force, they corrode from within. The weakness is reliance on insiders. Every system has gatekeepers, clerks, enforcers who uphold the machinery. Psychologically, they crave recognition and fear insignificance. Exploit that. Make them feel seen. Offer them alternative validation. Whisper doubts about their masters. Systems do not fail when the outer walls are breached. They fail when the inner gears start to grind against themselves. You do not need to overthrow. You only need to misalign a few cogs until the machine begins eating itself alive. But there is another strategy: mimicry. Most systems operate under the illusion of uniqueness, but in reality, they are predictable patterns wearing different costumes. Humans crave novelty, but repeat templates. Governments, corporations, religions, all built on hierarchy, ritual, reward, punishment. Study one deeply, and you will understand them all. Once you master the blueprint, you can infiltrate by speaking the language, walking the rhythm, appearing as one of them. The weakness is trust in familiarity. They will accept you because you look like the system they already understand. By the time they realize you've rewritten the code, it will be too late. There is a darker art, bending existing systems to serve you without ever owning them. Imagine riding the infrastructure of giants, platforms, institutions, trends, but redirecting the flow toward your own reservoir. Psychologically, people are lazy. They would rather improve a system than abandon it. If you give them the illusion that nothing has changed while you siphon the value, they will thank you as you take from them. This is parasitic elegance, the leech that drinks without being noticed. Entire empires have survived centuries, not by replacing dominant systems, but by quietly nesting inside them, extracting power while appearing submissive. And then comes the most dangerous system of all, the one built on memory. History itself is not truth. It is a curated system of narratives, repeated until belief hardens into fact. The hidden weakness is forgetfulness. Psychologically, humans outsource their memory to stories, and whoever controls the story controls the future. Rewrite the past, and you can bend the present. Erase failures, exaggerate triumphs, glorify myths. Create rituals around your narrative so they cannot be challenged. When others argue facts, you will already own the frame. Remember, people do not defend reality. They defend the story that gives them identity. If you own that story, you own them. The deeper you dive, the more you see systems are not cages or tools. They are the bloodstream of power. They can enslave or liberate, conceal or reveal, decay or regenerate. And the world is nothing but a battlefield of systems colliding, devouring, absorbing. To see this is to step outside the illusions that govern most lives. To wield it is to become untouchable. The most potent systems are not forced upon people. They are the ones people volunteer to serve. The weakness buried in every human being is a hunger for meaning. Psychologically, our minds cannot tolerate emptiness. We seek patterns, roles, rituals to anchor our existence. This craving is so powerful that when no system is given, the mind invents one. Superstitions, routines, personal myths. And here lies your ultimate leverage. If you design a system that feels like meaning, people will not resist it. They will beg for it, defend it, and recruit others into it. They will call it freedom while kneeling inside your blueprint. The chains they polish will feel like jewelry. Think of loyalty programs, religions, social movements, even simple apps on a phone. None command with a whip, they command with belonging. The weakness is loneliness, the psychological wound of isolation. Humans are tribal. Cut off from a group, the mind interprets it as death. If your system offers belonging, the doors to obedience swing wide open. Create rituals, shared language, visible symbols of identity. These micro signals rewire the brain. I am safe because I am one of them. The truth, they are not safe, they are owned. And once owned, they rarely escape, because leaving means facing the abyss of being alone. But belonging is only half the spell. The other half is status. People will bleed for a system that grants them rank, even if the rank is imaginary. Psychologically, the brain lights up from relative position more than absolute gain. You can exploit this by embedding ladders inside your systems. Ranks, badges, levels, titles. It does not matter if the ladder leads nowhere. The climb itself feels like purpose, while others chase status within your construct. You control the construct itself. You are the architect of the game, and the players are too intoxicated to ever ask who wrote the rules. The most dangerous part, once someone invests in a system, time, money, identity, the sunk cost effect chains them deeper. Psychologically, we cannot bear to admit waste. The greater the sacrifice, the tighter the grip. This is why cults grow more fanatical as they demand more. This is why gamblers keep betting after losses. The weakness humans equate sacrifice with value. If you design your system to require incremental sacrifice, the deeper they go, the harder it becomes to walk away. You don't need to trap them. They will trap themselves. Consider now the illusion of progress. The weakness here is impatience. People crave visible markers that they are advancing. Psychologically, progress signals survival. This is why fitness apps use rings, why games use progress bars, why corporations use promotions. If you bake visible progress into your system, you can keep people moving endlessly, even if the finish line does not exist. A bar that never quite fills, a level that always unlocks another, endless motion disguised as achievement. You will not need to force them. They will push themselves deeper, chasing a ghost of completion that never arrives. But perhaps the most exquisite system of control is invisibility. When the rules feel natural, when the boundaries are invisible, obedience feels like choice. Psychologically, people only rebel against what they see. Hide the mechanism, and it becomes the fabric of reality. Clocks dictate our days, calendars our years, currencies our value. Yet no one questions them. They are so invisible that to defy them feels insane. If you can design a system that disappears into culture, it will outlast you. It will not need your voice, your presence, your command. It will enforce itself through the very minds of those it governs. So now, ask yourself, do you wish to play inside someone else's system, climbing their ladder, wearing their colors, chasing their tokens of progress? Or will you become the architect, the one who sets the frames others cannot see, the one who writes the unspoken rules of their lives? Because once you master this, you will not need to fight for power. Power will flow to you, unseen, inevitable, silent.